Hey, Justin and everyone. I just made a video for you. It's about 30 minutes. I'll send it to you next month if you request it. I was just talking to you. It's pretty personal, though, but here we go.
Hey guys, I feel like my voice has gotten lower, which is pretty cool. That's a good thing. I feel good about it. Yeah, I'm liking it. So it's Monday. I'm just now getting back into my normal life again after being away in Virginia, D.C. area for the LDS 31 and up singles conference, Capital Connections this weekend. It was so amazing, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy about it, and the light of Christ goes really, really far, and nothing will stop it. For you guys who are members of the church, you might know who Sister Yi is. She is such an amazing woman and wonderful leader and awesome light of God. She was there at the conference and she spoke twice. We got to listen to her, and it's so real, and God is so real. And one of the things she said, there was like a really powerful moment in her talk. Like all of her talks were like so powerful, but like one of the things that she said, and she has like, if you know her, you kind of know how she talks. She just kind of says it very kind of slowly, but like matter of factly and calmly, but strongly. And it's true. And the way she said it was just so powerful, and it's absolutely true what I'm about to tell you. But she said nothing will stop the light of Christ. Nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. It was just one of those moments where you could feel the Spirit so strong. And it was wonderful. So the conference was so amazing. The whole time was just so it was so great, you know. There was a lot going on, so you kind of had to kind of figure things out and stuff. It keeps you on your toes. It kept me on my toes, and that's actually a great thing. And that helps us. That's good for us. Things that keep us on our toes are good for us, because they help us be ready for anything, for the things that we need to be ready for, all those things, you know. And so yeah, that part's really cool. But I can't even begin to. There's just so many great things. Like Friday night was so awesome. Getting there, we rode a boat. We met at the National Harbor in DC or Georgetown.
Oh, it's a vlog.
And they had a boat.
I thought it was going to be about the content of the conferences.
This out and took us on a tour of the Potomac River and like showed us things around us and things like that. And that
I'll
was
go a little bit longer and I'll
I
say something in the video.
I got a chance to talk to some different ladies and girls.
If you want to talk about the LDS content,
had a really great.
I'd be happy to respond. But
all in all, and it was a definite learning experience through the weekend, because I kind of had a crush. On somebody, but then it changed, and it changed. But the person I ended up talking to at the end, and the person who I am interested in, that was the first question she asked me. She was like, "Who's your conference crush?" And I was like, I don't know. I kind of wanted to say her in a way, but I was like, it was not quite time to say that or something like that. But I was just like, I didn't really have an answer. I was like, oh, I don't really know. I got people that might be crushes, but kind of. And she's like, well, it's not that serious, you know. It's just not like you have a crush on them, so you're gonna marry them, you know. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But it was so much fun talking to her. Her name is Barbara. That's a protect the innocent name for her. I'm gonna protect her. So anyway, Susie, one of the speakers on Sunday, was so funny. He was telling about his experience, and like he did the same thing in his talk. He was like talking about a girl that he was interested in. His heart was throbbing for.
Okay, this is great. Now I'm gonna keep watching it, and I'm gonna go lower speed. I'm going through some paranoia, so this is gonna be great.
He renamed her, and then like later when he referred to her again, he referred to her as a different name. It was just really funny. But I had a really great time. Saturday was really, really good. That was like the busy day. Saturday was like the meat of the meeting, of the weekend, because like there were all these workshops and dances, dance classes, and sports tournaments, pickleball, multiple speakers, great speakers, and it was located in the church building, which is actually a singles ward, which is really cool, really aptly assembled. And so it was just a really great day, and I met some really cool people, and I just kind of tried to get off of the planned course and more into the go with the flow a little bit more course, so I could just like, you know, not have to worry about things too much and enjoy things a little bit more. And so that's what I did, and I'm so glad I did that. and I played it by ear more. When I started playing it by ear more, that's when it started becoming more enjoyable and more fun and less stressful, for sure. But aka follow the spirit, right? Yeah. Let's see. So I did end up going to pickleball, and I played with a really awesome girl, and it's very interesting how it all works. I don't want to get into too many. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, so I'm not gonna say too much here. But I'm gonna try not to say too much. But basically, this girl she was amazing. She was wife material, solid wife material, solid live your life, be your eternal companion material.
Well,
And I don't say that lightly.
well, this is getting interesting. I'm going to stay a few more minutes.
It was really powerful.
Wow.
Really powerful. But there were a few things about her that made it so it wasn't right for me. And and the cool thing is God isn't like, well, I gave you this person here and you didn't take her, therefore you won't have an eternal companion, therefore you're going to suffer now. He knows, he respects our agency, he respects our choices, he knows that we have preferences and things like that. And at the same time, it's very important to be careful about our preferences, because we don't want to get too set in our ways, we don't want to get too stuck in what we want and what we're looking for, to where we can't have anything, or to where we're turning down everything, right? But I knew I had some time to think about it with her, and I did spend some time with her during the conference, and she sat next to me in two of the talks. I sat next to her in church on Sunday, and I sat next to her in Sister Yee's talk on Saturday, and we played pickleball together, and I gave her a ride back to where she was staying, and things like that. And she was just so kind and nice and fun and awesome. And again, wife material. But you got to be careful, because, like my good friend Barbara pointed out, it's you can't be that serious. You can't be too serious. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be a little loosey goosey, or a little, like, you got to be a little can't really take it that serious. Like, it's okay to have likes, it's okay to have crushes and things like that. It doesn't mean that you have to put like this big emphasis for marriage on it, like, to the max. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be like, it's you got to be a little bit, you got to chill, basically. You got to chill. You can't be all,
Yeah, and we live in a
about marriage.
we live in a world where it's not Adam and Eve. There's not just one girl in the world. And it's supposed to be like that. And with Adam and Eve, it was supposed to be like that as well. It's like, the girl that you're talking about, she's amazing. But could you imagine if she was the only girl in the world? She'd be wifey material, and she's the one, and it's a pretty easy choice. There's only one, But sometimes God has more compatible matches. And also, when you marry an amazing girl like that, you are kind of, excuse my speech here, but you are screwing over somebody else, because there's no polyandry, there's no polygamy or anything. So she's going to be stuck with you, and the guy that's slightly better than you, who could have used her, or the guy who's more compatible even, he might not even be as good as you, but he's more compatible with her, or he's strong in one or two of the areas that you're weak, He would have been a better match, And sometimes, I mean, if you really think about it, 98 to 99% of return missionaries are wifey material. But there's more to it than that. And it's funny whenever I pray for my future wife, because I do want to get married. I'm not a big 1 Corinthians 7 guy anymore. But I always pray for her to find a better guy than me. And it's already happened. In fact, there was this girl, Brittany. She was an internet crush that I had, D-list celebrity. We ended up being super close friends online. And I had this really parody spoof joke love for her, and it turned real, dangerously real. But I enjoyed praying for her, and I would pray for her to find a guy better than me. And I remember I was taking a shower in the bath, and I prayed for her, and it ended up, a lot of my prayers really go on a long time sometimes. And I got out of the shower, and I went into my room, and I went onto Facebook, and right away she has this guy. He's whatever, 6'2", and she's 5'1", and she's with them, and I felt like my prayer was answered within a second. His name was James, and they actually broke up. I was praying for them a lot when they were together, but they broke up. And what's funny is I actually prayed for him after they broke up, just because I felt like it. I prayed for Brittany's ex-boyfriend and her. But I kept praying for her to find a better guy, and she did. Now she's married, and she was like really into that marriage stuff. But I had a dream about her. She was, I guess you could say, a half-hearted repentance Christian with really good morals. But she didn't have Christ on the throne. God told me that he hated the show The Office, which is a great show and a great spirit. So I was wondering why. And I realized, yes, there's some foolishness. There's micro sexual immorality jokes at times. Sex jokes, I guess you could say. Not a lot, but just a lot of foolishness. But the main thing is idolatry. People love the show more than God. So the show is one of the best shows we have, which makes it hate-worthy from God. A show that's less entertaining, that's not really a threat. I mean, listen, it's like people watch 12 seasons, take their mind off the Lord, and onto high elo, awkward embarrassment. And what do they want to do when they're done? They want to start it over from season 1 and do it again. I'd be frustrated too if I was God. In a Romans 1:20 world, where it's obvious God exists and stuff. It's just, they love those characters more than God. They love the show more than God. That's what I think the main problem is. It's one of the most idolatrous shows if you think about it. A loyal fan base addicted to those cheap laughs that are not always holy, and righteous. But even if they were, you could idolize that too. It would still be idolatry. I mean, it's like they love that show. And Brittany was one of those people. She loved it. And she read books. She read books, and she wouldn't even read the Bible, but she didn't go to church. I ended up having a dream about her that I met her mom, and she says, yeah, she thinks you're weird. And she's one of the weirdest girls I've ever met in my life. But she thinks I was weird in a different way. She thought I had misplaced devotion towards Jesus. I'm weird for the Jesus thing. I'm obsessed with Jesus. And I said, well, I'm not going to God down. I didn't know I was dreaming when I was talking to her, but I was like, I'm not going to God down to date your daughter. And she goes, I know. And I was okay. And then when I woke up, I loved her so much less than I did. But you're supposed to love everyone no matter what, right? But that's the word. That's the thing with the word love. It's like it was a lot less after that. And God didn't want us being lifelong friends or acquaintances. I've had some wild breakups with people where the breakup itself is so strange and devastating that whenever they think of me in the future, pretty much whenever they think of me, it's like they just think of those last moments and they kind of bounce back to their life. God wants us to be lifelong friends with certain people, yes. Family would be a good example. Biological family, I think. There's storge love there. Love of family. And God wants us to earn our relationships with others, but not with family. So God gives us a little bit of his heart, I think, with the different people on earth. And then obviously we love guys and girls completely differently, right? So it's like this life is about exploring different avenues of love. I mean, there's a lot going on with life. There's so many rabbit holes you could dig. There's different ways to play it. It's a very creative video game that God made here. And all that need is, I think 70% say the purpose of life is to love, 20% says to learn. And then 10% is something else, but it's sometimes a combination of things or whatever. It's like, God might tell some different people different things sometimes, but the idea is here that I was going for is it might be a huge loss for you if you lose a cute girl or you lose a great girl, but you have to think about, because it's not Adam and Eve. I mean, Adam and Eve, that would be a tragedy if they got in a fight with their free will and they say, I know we're together and we're naked and we're supposed to be together, but I have free will and I'm going to malfunction just for the heck of it. And then they separate themselves on opposite islands. That's an asymmetric net negative experience. But when you do that here, what ends up happening is the Eve goes to the other island, there's a bunch of Adams there, and then she picks a better Adam than you. And then you go to a different island, there's a bunch of Eves, and then you pick a different Eve. So it's like, it's not asymmetric net negative, it would be breaking even, or actually better than that, breaking even. And also, it's nice to just get in a habit of not being clingy. Like, I was married to bowling, and that was a tough divorce. I was married to Guitar Hero. That was an awkward divorce. The game was alive, that game. The game was like, it was basically Baal. It was Baal worship. I mean, literally one of the songs was Shout to the Devil, and I had no problem playing it because it was like, I mean, you could call it legalism if I were to go back and just mute it, beat the song so I can go to the next song or something. But it's like, I could play, make fun of the people who are singing it. I mean, there's ways to play it without sinning, I think. But the idea was like, I just played a bunch of secular music and had a lot of fun. There was special euphoria coming out of that game. I even enjoyed beating all my high scores, and I was the world #1 on Monkey Wrench on hard for about 2 days. Very competitive leaderboards. I enjoyed topping the charts, getting 100% with perfect star power, but one day it went from Baal to a plastic guitar. All the power left it, and it was like the gods on both sides got sick of watching people play plastic guitar. So it drained me, and there was nothing special about the game. The game just died, and it happened to everyone. It just died, that game. And that's what's going to happen to all the idols. And I think the LDS Church sets us up for wife-olatry and husband-olatry. And we have the highest view of marriage of all time. We have the highest view of baptism of all time. Highest view of families of all time. Any religion ever. But I post on Facebook, it sets us up for idolatry. Church is so good, it sets us up for idolatry. And God expects us to not always slash those idols even, but to exalt Christ over them. Like, there are theologians who love the Bible more than God. And the reason why it's competitive is because God's invisible. And the Bible, you could see it and touch it, and for theologians, the Bible provides their income. So there's more to love about it. If they love money, it's producing money, it's producing their life. I mean, do you just start hating on the Bible? Is that what you would tell the theologian? Probably not. You want to exalt Christ over. Like, if someone's worshiping the Book of Mormon or they're idolizing the Book of Mormon, it is low-key okay to micro-idolize the Bible. I mean, objectively, it's not okay. That's why micro-idolization is you love something more than you should. But I feel like there are some things. Well, there are certain things. So all micro-idolization is sin. But there are certain sins that are more cringe than others. And there are certain, loving your wife too much. I mean, Aaron Shafawalov made a video, and it was in the middle of debate. They were so embarrassed, both sides, they both took the debate down. I still have the debate somewhere on my computer because I downloaded it. It was Kwaku and Aaron. But Aaron is over here who believes in 16th century Augustinian predestinationism and basically a version of God that's worse than the Lucifer of Mormonism. And he's over here, he's yelling Brigham Young deserves infinite conscious torment for his idolatry when he is doing it way worse. Anyways, in my opinion, Calvinism is really bad. But I'm not going to stop throwing stones. I was praying with this guy, and he was 21, and I think he would have really respected me, but I basically called Gen Z stupid, and then I called it Gen A stupid in a funny, creative way, and it's a joke that's never not landed in my entire life because I've always told it to millennials and boomers. It was the first time I ever told it to a Gen Z, and it was in the middle of a prayer. He hated it. He opened his eyes. He's like, whoa, what the heck? I said, Gen Z says you lost me at the title page. Gen A says you lost me at, I have to read a book. And it's based on the quote, Gen Z says you lost me at Book of Mormon. Gen A says you lost me at book. That's the funnier version of it, but I'm very careful with my timing when I tell people that I'm LDS or member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or in some cases Mormon. I'm very careful when I tell people. I save the bullet. This guy named Cole came to my house, knock knock. Who's there? Oh, it's $50 and I'll clean all your spider webs. Oh, nah. Are you a Christian? Yeah. Favorite Bible verse, Joshua 1:9. Okay. What's the definition of repentance? He says change. I said, you need to get baptized to get to heaven? He says, well, yeah. I said, what? Only 10% of Christians believe that. Huh. And I'm thinking, well, he's 4 for 4 or whatever. Let's give him a harder one. What do you think of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? He says, I like it. I'm a member. So, that is something. Okay. He's 21, got his number, friends with him, meeting him today. And, I forget why I bring him up even. Okay, well. Ouch. Okay, let's continue.
Just met this person. You got to be realistic. You got to be realistic because that's the point. And only thinking about marriage, and you just met this person. Be a little bit. You gotta chill. Basically, you gotta chill. You can't be all.
Let's go back a little bit more.
Like, to the max. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be like. It's you gotta be a little bit. You gotta chill. Basically, you gotta chill. You can't be all. Only thinking about marriage, and you just met this person. You gotta be realistic. You gotta be realistic because that's the point. And but I had such a.
If you're LDS, it's really not that crazy.
Barbara, afterwards,
it is, but it's not.
Friday.
It is. Some people say it's the second most important decision you make in your life.
Said hi to her.
Outside of, accepting Jesus. But yeah, I guess so.
And like the
But there's been some quick engagements.
conference had, we set up a Marco Polo group, which is a really cool app where you just like make a video of yourself, add it to the pool, and see what everyone else is saying. And it's like sequential short videos from people responding to each other and saying hi and stuff like that, chiming in. It was really cool app. And so I met Barbara on there, and then I saw her in real life on Friday, and I said hi to her, and she was kind of like surprised, and it was really cool. It was really cool actually. And at the time, like I just gotten to the conference, so I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, eyes wide open, like what's going on here? Like I gotta keep my eyes open, you know, because you never know who you're gonna meet, right? And come to find out that she was the one that I wish that I'd spent a little bit more time with. But it all worked out perfectly anyway. I ended up getting her number because I talked to her. I got a few numbers, and just because you get a number or because you ask for a number doesn't mean that you're like interested in pursuing that person. Sometimes it's just good to just have their number and stay in touch, like whether it's friends or whether it's for I have this picture I need to send you or whatever, you know, that we took at the conference or something like that, or you know. But I did get it. I'm not bragging like I'm like a baller. Like I got a couple numbers, but and I got in touch with a couple people, and I messaged a few people, and it was nice. People messaged me, and I messaged them, and it was just really nice. It was really nice. And some really unexpected, cool things happened, which I was really surprised about. And so I don't know. I really like Barbara. I really like her, but at the same time, I don't know how things are going to go. You know, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, you gotta pray for it. It's very important.
Sunday, we started hanging out a lot, like last night. And,
Here, I'll pray for you right now. Dear God, thank you for this day, Lord. I pray for Justin and the Barbara. Lord, I pray to... wow. I would say fill them up with love for you and then love for each other. And have the love, you know, help them fall in love with each other's flaws. And let them both feel the same way about each other, whether it's good, medium, or bad, and synchronize their feelings. Please help in Jesus' name, amen. Okay. There you go.
Conference, like last
There's high quality, medium quality, and low quality prayers, and I consider that one high quality because I was able to get through the whole prayer without praying for myself, which was pretty fantastic. You know, I made it all the way through.
had a
Man,
great time. It was fun. It was just like
they say if you want to, you know,
perfect, you know, just right. And so
I did it.
think here, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and we got to sit and talk and we ate together. And I asked her out at the conference a little bit because I was like, do you want to come do this with me? Do you want to come to this talk with me? Do you want to come on? Let's do this, you know, or you know, you want to come? You want to come? You want to eat dinner with me? You want to go get our drinks and like and eat and stuff? And she was like, I took her water bottle because she needed help carrying stuff, and I was like, you know, I've got this water bottle now, so if you ever want to see it back, she's like filling in the blank. She's like, I have to follow you, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, that's kind of like manipulative, and it was just funny. We just had jokes and stuff and laughs, and it was great. So anyway, I got her number. I'm super glad. And she doesn't live that close, but she doesn't live that far. It's not that far. Like I met one person who I really liked, and I did feel like we didn't really have much of a future necessarily. It was just nice to meet each other. It was nice to meet each other and be like, yeah, I got you. And then she's like, yeah, you know. And that person lived like in Kansas City, and so that's not, you know, that's tough. And the other person, the one that was wife material, one of the deal breakers was basically because she lived in Arizona, and that's just too far. You know, it's just I figured that out. I'm so thankful for my experiences, whether they've been good or bad or rough or whatever, on mutual dating and on dating apps because, you know, I learned the hard way about distance, about how far is too far. And the other thing is, well, it's a double-sided thing because depending on how much you like the person and how much a future you see with them and how strong the spirit is between the two of you, feeling like, okay, like we can try this, depending on all of that, that kind of helps you determine and depend on the relationship. And like I matched with someone on mutual, and I felt like she was cool, but I didn't feel that attracted to her. And she lived in Colorado, so that's pretty far away. And I was just like, I didn't know how to tell her that you don't want to tell someone you're not that attracted to them because like that's kind of hard. That can hurt their feelings, you know. And so what I did say was, and it was true too. It was true. I just said what I needed to say without saying that I wasn't attracted to her, and said that, you know, I'm not really, the distance it's hard. It's hard to imagine things working because of how far apart we are, and it was hard to envision it working, not just because of that, for other reasons too. But you don't need to tell people that sometimes. You don't need to tell people I'm not attracted to you, right? You don't need to tell people that. Like, there's no reason to hurt people's feelings. Like, I guess in some situations you might have to be, I guess.
Yeah, this is called bronze lie, or potentially silver lie or golden lie. I'm trying to, well, not a golden lie, but it would be a bronze lie. Sin of Proverbs 12:23. A prudent man withholds knowledge, but a fool proclaims all that he knows. One of the 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child, talked like a child, reasoned like a child. Then I grew up." And when Paul and Jesus are talking about different things, Jesus in Matthew 18:1-5, he's saying, "Be like these little children." He's talking about the little children in the sense, the innocence and purity, whereas Paul was talking more about maturity and just the naive side of kids. That's going to go away as you get older. It should. And I think there's great wisdom in withholding knowledge. But it reminded me of the little children. They don't do that. I remember, and my brother denied this story multiple times. Well, I must have been, let's see. Oh, I think I was 11 and he was 9. So he's pretty old here, past the age of accountability. And we're eating waffles, the frozen waffles with syrup and butter. My grandma made them for me all the time. They're very cheap, but they taste delicious. Oh, tastes so good. And she was great. Grandma Kathy, she wasn't my biological grandma. She was my next door neighbor. But we became friends. I think, that was something. I considered her my grandma. I would go over there for no reason, just to hang out with her. And I'm just remembering, she wasn't a Christian, and I didn't really know very much about gospel mechanics, but I was, 13 or something. And she was about to die. And I said, should I tell her about Jesus and stuff? And I didn't. But I ended up having a vision later. There was 10 paintings in heaven that God showed the kids, and God didn't tell them what he thought about each painting. But God spent a lot of time on one of them, and he loved it so much. And the other ones were different colors and stuff, but they were lower quality, according to God. And these kids are hyper intelligent and super funny. They're amazing. But God asked them to rank all the paintings, and there was a bunch of children, and they disagreed on the best and the second best and the third best. But they unanimously picked the black painting for the 10th. They didn't understand it, but they thought they did. And they thought it was beautiful, and they knew it was God's artwork. But the last thing they thought was God being offended by all of them gaining up on number 10, and they started making jokes, kind of like how you'd make fun of Scalabrine. It's the worst NBA player, worst stats. He had the lowest stats in whatever NCAA basketball, or not NCAA basketball, NBA 2K 24 or 5. He had the lowest stats, and then people make fun of him. So he did the Scalabrine Challenge, and he played a bunch of Division I players one-on-one, and he beat them all 11-4, 11-1, 11-0, 11-0, 11-1, 11-0, 11-1, 11-2, 11-2, 11-0, 11-1. And he's just bigger and just better. And then he says, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. And that was his little thing. But when people are making fun of him, we all get it that he's good at basketball. We get that. But it's just fun, you know, as fans, to make fun of the quote-unquote worst player. We know no one else could easily replace you. It's just plays in the NBA, right? But it was just getting ridiculous, and it was like, I mean, a week could go on, and they'd be playing a board game or something, and then they'd bring up that painting. Well, guess what? It was God's favorite one, and they just didn't understand it. They weren't as smart as God. They couldn't see the multidimensional nature of the painting and stuff. And my grandma died and went to hell, and she went to lots of different layers for each one of her sins. And the demands of justice were just insane on her because she didn't get any blood. And she wasn't religious. She mocked the baseball players who had the cross and who would do the Catholic Father, Son, Holy Spirit thing after getting a single. She thought it was disgusting. And I wouldn't consider that to be her biggest sin, but maybe God did. But she was just kind of an above average girl. She was the teacher's pet. She was the teacher's pet, so she was a good girl. But like, anyway, I don't want to like talk about all of her sins, but she did have some, you know, sexual morality and some other stuff. But she's getting roasted for each individual sin, and burn, baby, burn, you know, as they do. And LDS theology, you're also getting burned up too. I cried like a baby in 2020 when I found out we believed in hell. Cried like a baby. But yeah, if you're unrepentant, anyways, it's not forever, hell. And that should be obvious. She wasn't a son of perdition. It was just I don't know. Anyways, she got roasted and toasted. People don't think God will send grandma to hell. He will. He will. He will. And in some cases more, you know, there's more years on there, that one. I mean, it's like, ugh. So she's getting roasted and toasted. She gets to the end of the 26 layers at different intensities for the different sins, and once you get it, then you go to the next layer. And so she kind of gets all roasted out. And she's just kind of sitting there the way, I mean, you know how you get, well, I don't know if you've ever been beat up by a bunch of people, but she was humble at the end there. And she was kind of fried up. And God came down to her. And all he said was, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this?" And it was the painting from heaven. And she just yelled at the top of her lungs, "This is wonderful. Now this is wonderful." Especially after being in hell all that. And then seeing a painting that good. And God says, "You want to be friends?" And she says, "Yeah." She says, "Did you paint this?" "Well, then, yes. I mean, if you painted this, it's amazing, huh?" So she's hugging the painting, and God is hugging her, and he takes her up to the little children, and they all look at him. And he says to the kids, "I love her more than you." And the kids knew who she was and the life she lived and all that stuff. They couldn't believe it. They had never sinned in their life. And then God says,